Hey there, friends. Welcome to episode 17 of Who the Heck Did I Marry? All right, quick recap. Last episode, we found out that Ken has now lost his fifth job since we've been together. He was working at the car dealership. They laid him off, saying they couldn't afford him because sales were down due to the cancellation of the employee pricing promo that had been going on at the dealership. He needs to find a new job. He gets a new job in Avondale at a car dealership. He's working there for about a month, coming and going between Cottonwood and staying with his parents during the week, so he's not doing this horrible drive every single day. We're missing each other. He finds out that they have an opening position in his office and offers it to me. I talked to the other manager there because there were several brands of dealerships all managed in the same office. So I could work for a separate manager, not directly for my husband, and then kind of move around and be able to help them in the office and do all the things. As long as I didn't directly report to my husband, it wasn't a problem. I just worked for a different brand. So I come down, I apply, I get the job, and right after New Year's, January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, but I start at the same dealership that he is working at in Avondale. So now we have a house up there and we are down here. For a while, we were staying with his parents and driving to work back and forth every day. Well, my parents have always tried a way to invest their money properly. And my parents have always believed that real estate is not a bad investment. And life has taught them that. They had done well, even though they were both teachers, buying a house, paying it down enough that they could then step up a house, put the equity into it, basically keep the same payment. So real estate had done very well for them. They had some money that they were looking to invest and trying to figure out how to do it. They ended up buying what they thought would be their future retirement home. It was right down the street from the house that they had currently lived in. They bought it and it had sat there for a year empty with them trying to figure out what to do with it. Did they want to rent it? Airbnb wasn't a thing back then, but do they want to rent it? Do they, when are they thinking about moving into this home? Dad retired first, mom was close to retirement, and they were trying to make those decisions. So when we ended up having to move back down here and had this house that we were still paying for up there, my parents said, well, nobody's lived in this house. Why don't you guys go live there? It wasn't a retirement community, but it was just me and Ken and the puppy. And we're quiet. We're not going to sit there in a senior community and cause a bunch of trouble. Pull the truck in the garage, sleep there, stay there, go where we need to go, not have people over. We just did our best to be very courteous of the situation we were living in, and it gave us a place to live for free, which was amazing. So now that we are both down here and we're both working, we need to figure out what we're going to do though, because we can't stay in this retirement house forever. We got this house in Cottonwood. We need to figure out, again, imagine the bubble is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So our Cottonwood home that we purchased for $100,000 is now sitting at 170 estimated value, $170,000 in just the few months that we've owned it. That's how the market was exploding at that point in time. So we're looking at $70,000 worth of equity. We need a home down here. We're both working in Avondale. My parents' retirement home is in Mesa. Again, if you know the area, it's about a 45 to 60-minute drive from Mesa to Avondale, depending on traffic, okay? And the extra freeways were not yet built at that point in time that are here now, friends. Okay, so we're looking at homes in Avondale, and we find a new build, a new neighborhood being built, and look at the price of the homes. The homes were gorgeous. Looking at what our Cottonwood house is down here, should we sell that home, buy down here? We decided that was the right decision. So we immediately put our house up in Avondale up for sale, and we sign a loose agreement to purchase this home loose, that's not the right term. We signed a contract to buy a house in Avondale. We were going to need some deposit money soon, but initially we had signed, we picked a lot, we picked our home, we picked our floor plan, and we started building from scratch a new home in Avondale. So house up in Cottonwood is up for sale. And here we sit now needing this new house in Avondale so we don't have to drive the hour every day from my parents' retirement home. And obviously that was a short-term solution. It couldn't be a long-term solution. So the house starts to be built, and he and I are both working at the same car dealership. He is working for one brand, I'm working for another. Like I said in a previous video, I came in to kind of be a Gal Friday of the office. They taught me initially how to spin car deals, which once all the finance guys were done, it was my job to get all the paperwork ready and take it to the billers so that the billers could then officially bill the car deal and put it into the system. I was then also taught accounts payable and accounts receivable, and eventually I was taught how to input inventory, receive inventory as new cars came into the dealership. So I am a pretty quick learner, and I was able to sit with some of these people. So then I was able to cover first for the lady who was out on pregnancy. When the second lady went out on maternity, the first lady had come back. She stepped back in her job. I went to the next job. When the next lady went out for knee surgery, I was able to kind of bounce between, or back surgery, I was able to bounce back and forth between the two jobs, filling in, doing all the things until, maternity. It was just, I was moving all around as they needed me to do. Our house is being built, and this was, I'm going to guess, the end of February, because we had one end of month. If you've ever worked at a company that has a hard end of month where you're talking about sales and things like that, books have to be closed ASAP. These car deals need to be spun. They need to be funded. They need to do whatever they can do to get the money in the bank to close the previous month's books ASAP. So end of month is a big deal at car dealerships. Sometimes you're there till 9, 10 o'clock at night, working all the things to make sure that all this can be done as quickly as possible. We had been through one end of month. That was good. And it was the second end of month. So that would have to be February. And most of the office staff had left for the night. But me being with Ken, and of course riding with Ken, he being a manager needed to stay later than anybody else because they had more things that they were, all the cooks in the kitchen. So I was there. The girl that I was co-working with doing the same job, I did one brand, she did another brand. She had to leave early because of a son's concert or game or something like that. So I was able to stay on the clock because I was helping her by doing her job because she had to leave early. So I'm there working. Ken's in his office working. I get to a stopping point where I can't do anything more for the evening until I get some more stuff from the finance guys. So I go into his office and say, hey, how are we doing? I'm just about done. He said, I'm just about at a stopping point too. He's like, let me walk around, make sure there's nothing else that needs to be done, and we can get out of here, get ready to go. Okay, great. Again, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So he does what he needs to do. I am at my desk. He comes and says, let's go. So we get in the car and we go home. We have, like I said, about an hour drive, 45 minutes to an hour drive to get home. And we get home, and right as we pull into the driveway, he gets a phone call from the head office staff person, it's called the controller, the head controller of the car dealership. Hey, where are you? He says, I just pulled into my driveway at home. You did not ask me if you could leave. I walked around. I looked for you. I couldn't find you. I didn't see your car. I locked up my office. I was done with what I was doing and I left. And I'm kind of hearing both sides of the conversation because we're in a quiet car. He's on his cell phone. Basically, she says, you needed permission to leave. There was way more that you could have done. I'm tired of, pulling the weight for you. I don't know exactly what she said at that point, but long story short, she says, don't bother coming back tomorrow. We'll find somebody who wants to do the job, and hung up the phone. What? Did he seriously? Is this job number 6? Are you kidding me right now? What do we do? Now we just signed for another house. We've got a house up in Cottonwood. Did he really just lose his job? What just happened? And he explained to me basically what I just explained to you. She felt like he shouldn't have left. He left. She didn't want to deal with it anymore. Fired him there on the spot. That was the end of the story. So he tells me, obviously you have to work tomorrow. So I will drive you to the office and I will sit down and talk with her and see if there's any way to salvage my job. But